Hey YouTube, welcome back to another History Teacher Reacts video. Mr. Terry, as I continue my search for historical knowledge found here on the internet. Alright, today's video comes from one of the most popular channels on all of YouTube, and that is WatchMojo. So this video is titled Top 10 Most Accurate War Movies. Now there's a couple reasons I chose this. One is, I know with WatchMojo, it's a very kind of more mainstream type of channel. It covers, again, not necessarily history topics. They do every once in a while little list videos and stuff, but I like to check out sometimes just historically influenced videos from non-history sources, right? The stuff that's really appealing to just everyday people. If you watch my channel, you're probably kind of a history buff, but most people don't get into that level like you all do there. Thanks for doing that, by the way. Anyway, but yeah, I want to see a little bit about their take. Now, another reason I wanted to check this out too is I know a lot of you are into like military movies, and I've seen that because if you didn't know, I started doing watch parties over on Twitch, where we're able to watch movies like legally together on Twitch, and we've watched some military movies. We watched so far we've watched Enemy at the Gates, we watched Downfall. Those are just a couple of the things that we've watched. By the way, if you want to get involved in that and come get involved in our watch parties, follow me on Twitch, Mr. Terry History, over there, and you can learn more about how to participate in those watch parties. But anyway, I wanted to see what they put there, and I know this will cause plenty of debate because one of the things I get mentioned all the time with movies is, oh, that's not accurate, that's not accurate, that's not accurate. And basically the trend is no historical movie, not even just war movie, is ever accurate. So let's see what they got, and you can go ahead and put your thoughts down in the comments. Or better yet, come over to our Discord server. It's also a great way to know when I'm going to be doing those watch parties, is get to be a part of our Discord community. You'll get a little more info that way. All right, the original link is down below, so you can check that out, and let's go ahead and get started.
This video was made in partnership with Newbie, who are just as obsessed with movies as we are. Let's just say that none of these movies feature John Wayne triumphantly charging into battle on horseback.
Horse soldiers.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 insanely accurate war movies. For this list, we're looking at movies...
No, okay, so not just accurate, insanely accurate.
Praised for their authentic portrayal of combat, historical battles, and the side effects of war.
Black Hawk Down.
Number 10, Full Metal Jacket.
You will not laugh. You will not cry. You will learn by the numbers. I will teach you. Now get up. Get on your feet.
We don't seem...
I forgot that guy's name. The dude that just... what's his name? He's so great. He's the one that basically plays a drill sergeant in every movie. I forgot his name, but I think I remember hearing that he was a drill sergeant before, and it just made it perfect that way.
Much warfare until the second act of Full Metal Jacket, but the opening scenes are arguably even harder to watch, as a cruel drill instructor pushes one vulnerable private over the edge of sanity. R. Lee Ermey, who plays Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, was actually a drill instructor in Vietnam, and thus improvised many of his character's callous insults.
Okay.
4 inches from your chest, Kyle! 4 inches!
Not 3, not 5.
Ermey's performance isn't the only aspect of this film that's shockingly accurate. Director Stanley Kubrick started researching the Vietnam War in 1983, drawing influence from documentaries, Vietnamese newspapers, and a plethora of photos. Kubrick also worked on the screenplay with Michael Herr, who was a war correspondent in Vietnam, and Gustav Hasford, a Vietnam veteran who wrote the semi-autobiographical book that inspired this film.
Okay, listen up. Did anybody see a sniper? Did anybody see anything?
Anybody see a sniper?
Number 9, Apocalypse Now.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
While occasionally...
Classic line there. So Full Metal Jacket, I mean, so many of these movies I know are movies I'm going to have seen, I've seen before, but maybe not sat down or remember it in its entirety. So this is good. This will be good too, just to do this. I've heard of course, Full Metal Jacket, Apocalypse Now, and stuff like that. But yeah, I got to get back to a lot of these too. And one thing we can see is also if any of these movies are available for watch parties, we can check that out and see what's available. All right, Apocalypse Now. I know that one's super real.
Occasionally over the top, Apocalypse Apocalypse Now gets to the root of something that a lot of movies gloss over: the psychological repercussions of war.
Sure.
Although our main characters witness unspeakable atrocities while traveling upriver, the greatest battle is the one waged within. One of the standout moments in the film that shows this is its opening.
Every time I think I'm gonna wake up back in the jungle.
Resting in a Saigon hotel, Captain Benjamin L. Willard finds himself unable to escape the jungle that haunts him.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think it's a good thing to make sure that, you know, these movies aren't just like, they're like real events. You can't treat them like superhero activities where it's just like invincibility and it's totally unbelievable and it's glorifying everything, right? Like war movies provide such an important historical and like informative background for just regular, again, mainstream historically understanding people, right? I mean, a lot of you know, again, I said they really know history and will know, you know, being able to see a movie right away and say, yeah, that's real, that didn't happen, that's not real, that's not how it'd be. For a lot of people, they don't know, and what they're gonna see is what they're going to believe, right? Of what things were like. So making sure that these other aspects, again, like the psychological damage that can happen from fighting in wars, is portrayed because it's important probably to do that.
The whole movie has a dreamlike quality to it, which is a perfect allegory for war, a nightmare that nobody can awaken from once they've experienced it. Ingenious touches like this make Apocalypse Now one of the most unique war movies, not to mention one of the most authentic.
The charges aren't justified. They are, in fact, and in the circumstances of this conflict, quite completely insane.
Number 8, Come and See.
No!
I don't know this one.
Don't take him away!
We've seen numerous
Apocalypse
movies
Now
about
and
Nazi evil,
Full Metal
although
Jacket for
few
sure.
have
I don't
been
know
as
this one.
chillingly realistic as this Soviet drama. Taking place during the occupation of
The Soviet?
Belarus, the film follows a young boy as he's exposed to Nazi Germany's crimes against humanity. Director L.M. Klimov co-wrote the screenplay with Alish Adamovich.
Now, immediately, I'm sure people are going to be like, oh, it's a Russian movie about the Nazis. It's going to be filled with bias and stuff. And you can't predetermine bias, you know, in one way. Bias has to be shown through multiple levels. But it depends on what's portrayed, right? And what's verifiable.
Who also contributed to the source material I Am from the Fiery Village. This book is comprised of first-hand accounts from survivors of the Belarusian genocide.
No, they're not here! They're dead!
Klimov's film is largely inspired by the Khatyn massacre, in which 149 people, including 75 children, were burned to death. To be as faithful as possible, actual bullets were often used instead of blanks. Real Nazi uniforms were worn, and the film was shot in Belarus with villagers as extras.
So as far as setting goes and actors, it gets about as real as you can get.
Crazy! All of you crazy! You want to just kill him? Let him die just like that?
Number 7, Das Boot.
Sport. Right, U-boats.
Wolfgang Petersen's World War II masterpiece revolves around the real German submarine U-96.
Submarines already give me, like, I'm not a claustrophobic person. I really don't think I am. But I am kind of afraid of the deep ocean. And that, I'm sure, could accelerate some, like, claustrophobia. But the idea of being trapped, like, in a war or something in, like, a submarine sounds frightening to me.
Sparing no expense, 2 full-scale replicas of the U-96 were built to capture the size and scope of Lothar Gunther Buchheim's novel. Of course, Das Boot is also an incredibly claustrophobic film that floods the crowded submarine with tension.
I mean,
While
how couldn't you?
this adaptation isn't without a few creative liberties, it touches upon a notion that isn't always
Drink
explored
to our
in World War II
heroes.
movies. Not all Germans were Nazi sympathizers.
Wir trinken auf die deutsche U-Boot-Waffe
Is that Christoph Waltz
und auf unseren geliebten Flug.
on the right?
The German crew we center on is generally critical of Hitler and the war their government has landed them in.
That looks like it. I haven't seen this. That's got to be him. He is so good. Such a good actor. And already plays a Nazi in other movies. Inglourious Bastards and stuff. It's crazy.
This puts our heroes in a difficult position as they're forced into the Battle of the Atlantic, demonstrating that war is never clear-cut. Number 6, We Were Soldiers.
Yep. Mel Gibson's movie, right?
Net call, this is Trojan 2.
This American
That's another movie I haven't seen for a long time.
war film was based on the memoir of Lieutenant General Hal Moore and reporter Joseph L. Galloway. Discussing his wartime experiences, Moore argued that, quote, Hollywood got it wrong every damn time. Director Randall Wallace was thus committed to, quote, getting it right when he brought the story to the silver screen. In addition to Moore, Wallace spoke with numerous veterans of the Battle of Ia Drang, the first major clash between the US Army and the North Vietnamese Army. The battle lasted 3 days, and Wallace's attention to realism puts us in the center of the chaos. Although there are a few notable differences between the book and film, particularly the ending, Moore ultimately felt that this drama succeeded where others had failed.
I am in a fight, and I object to this order to return to Saigon.
An Australian playing an American, right? Mel Gibson loves the war movies. And I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you see it, of course, with like something like Braveheart or Patriot or what's that newer one where he tries to find a son that he thinks died of Gallipoli. Then this, yeah, he loves this kind of stuff.
Now I will not leave my men.
Number 5, Glory.
Classic. This was like standard for like probably my age group and older for something you actually watched in history class.
Compared to World War I and World War II, Hollywood has not paid much attention to the American Civil War or the soldiers who fought in it. Glory transports its audience back to the
Matthew
1860s
Broderick.
while also shedding a spotlight on a lesser-known chapter in this particular war. The film focuses on Colonel Robert Gould Shaw, a white Union soldier who led the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment, an African-American unit.
Yeah.
You're a good shot.
Very, very famous group. Definitely look into that regiment for how impactful they were in the war. It was, I remember, like, in my age and stuff, one of the movies, you watched was like Ferris Bueller, and seeing Matthew Broderick like act like this, he still looks so young and like somebody that doesn't look like somebody you would buy at all as like a seasoned military general. But I remember thinking that.
Private. Thank you, sir.
Drawing inspiration from Shaw's personal letters, Glory has been praised for its honest portrayal of race relations at the time and the brutality of war. The climactic battle at Fort Wagner, despite getting some minor details wrong, is a mostly accurate account that doesn't romanticize or sugarcoat the aftermath.
You should have seen us in action 2 days ago. We were a sight to see.
Number 4, Black Hawk Down.
This, I remember, because I saw this movie maybe when it came out. Honestly, it might have been one of like the first rated R movies I had seen before. And I remember this being like kind of messed up as far as I hadn't seen like the movies again I'd grown up with when it comes to war, glorified something and we're totally not even attempting to make something realistic, but we glorify something. And Black Hawk Down does not do that at all. So I remember that being one where I was like, holy crap, like this is what a lot of things are like. Not all wars are the World War II righteous charges. It's like, no, it's a lot grittier than that.
Hawk down, we got a Black Hawk Down.
In Black Hawk Down, director Ridley Scott plunges the audience into explosive anarchy and never gives us a second to catch our breath. This exceptionally edited film chronicles the 1993 Battle of Mogadishu from the perspective of American soldiers.
I need to see this again too.
That being said, it doesn't draw much attention to the Malaysian or Pakistani soldiers who aided US troops. Nevertheless, this adaptation of Mark Bowden's nonfiction book takes gritty realism to new levels. Scott and cinematographer Slavomir Žižek approached the US-Somalia conflict with the finesse of a documentary. Perhaps the most authentic aspect of the film is the camaraderie between our central characters.
Sure.
Some of the cast members trained with real soldiers, creating a sense of brotherhood that shined through in the final product.
Sergeant Eversman! I heard you guys needed a lift! Yes, sir!
Number 3.
I remember, again, one of the things that stood out to me when I watched Black Hawk Down was what urban warfare is like when these American soldiers in just an urban setting were unable to tell of the locals who supported them and then who was against them. It's like you couldn't determine that. You didn't know which one was spying on you, which one they could come out and try to kill you or something, who you could rely on. I remember that coming through in that movie that these American soldiers had a hard time dealing with. All right, Platoon, another classic.
Platoon.
Well, here I am, anonymous.
Charlie Sheen, Willem Dafoe.
Guys nobody really cares about.
It's no secret that director Oliver Stone is a veteran, and Platoon is debatably the most personal entry in a so-called Vietnam War trilogy. Stone started writing a
You know, it seems like if you're gonna write a movie that you want to show definitely the negative parts of war, especially from for the American audience, Vietnam is pretty easy to do that, because in real time with Vietnam, it was portrayed like, you know, with a lot of negatives of the war. It's one of the first, you know, really massively unpopular, or probably the first massively unpopular war in American history. And a big reason for that, by the way, is it was the first major war in American history in the real full television era, where most people have television, and with free press being able to report on it and stuff like that, we're able to show a lot of those things and tell a different story than what maybe the government was saying. Because before this, in wars, the American government was able to really control the narrative of a war, like in World War II or something like that, or before, because you didn't have that kind of direct communication technology to the public. So people knew at the time how awful Vietnam War was for people that were involved in it, and it's pretty easy to tell. What you maybe not see as much, though, is something like a World War II movie talking about a lot of some of the other negative effects, like the psychological effects or the moral, maybe moral implications of that. But again, not all wars are equal when it comes to that sort of thing. So it doesn't mean you can do that for every war, but something to think about.
Autobiographical screenplay that would inspire Platoon not long after his tour concluded in 1968. Stone was meticulous when it came to recreating.
I'm feeling
Vietnam
woefully
as he remembered it,
unprotected
even
here.
having red dirt imported to the Philippines where filming took place. To get into the mindset of soldiers, much of the main cast underwent intense training for 30 days under the watchful eye of Dale Dye, another Vietnam veteran. After the film hit theaters, Dye recalls people telling him, quote, "I never understood your experience or why you didn't want to talk about it until I saw Platoon." Number 2, Letters from Iwo Jima.
Another good movie.
In 2006, Clint Eastwood released 2 films about World War
That's
II.
right.
Flags of Our Fathers, which was told from the viewpoint of US soldiers, and Letters from Iwo Jima, which shifted the focus to Japanese soldiers.
So it's interesting, but I remember when it came out necessarily, it wasn't just publicly publicized that, hey, this movie, it's almost like it's like a sister movie. It's like you have this movie covering the same event, and they're intentionally covering it from one perspective and then from a different perspective. That's a great kind of, I think, a neat formula to use on like an historical event, is intentionally going right in with both perspectives. But I don't remember that necessarily like coming out that much. It's like it still kind of drove itself as different movies, and it's almost like Letters from Iwo Jima. Like they didn't get talked about the same. And I wish they were.
Between the two, the latter film is the more ambitious and insightful piece. Ken Watanabe stars as General
I love him.
Takamichi Kuribayashi,
He's so good.
whose non-fiction book provided the basis for this war drama. The film remains truthful to Kuribayashi's
The actor.
account of the Battle of Iwo Jima, and even borrows some of his exact quotes. Being an American production, you'd expect the filmmakers to take major liberties, or even have the Japanese inexplicably speak English.
How would you feel if America and Japan were to enter war?
I believe they would make splendid allies.
Eastwood never takes the easy way out, though, keeping his film grounded in history.
Such brutal
Before
fighting.
we continue,
For just a big rock, which is Iwo Jima was, defensive fortification, incredible amount of destruction, tens of thousands dead in those battles alone. Iwo Jima, Okinawa, the other battle at that time, were also influential because of how devastating it was. That accelerated the opinion to use the atomic bomb on Japan to avoid battles like these going forward.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Saving Private Ryan.
Figured we'd see that. I mean, it's probably the most famous war movie, I would say. I mean, it is a great movie. And that was another movie I remember seeing young. And it was like excused in a way because it's like, no, it's like a historical movie. It's okay, you know, being young to see this kind of movie because of like it's important. Like even if it's gory and stuff like that, it's history. So it's like it's passable, you know, like for a younger kid to watch something like that. And I remember seeing that, you know, with the opening scene with D-Day here and portraying that, what seemed like in a lot of realistic ways and you know, and certain levels. And that being one that like one of those movies where it's like, holy crap, you know, this stuff is a lot scarier, you know, when you're young than you think, because you see out of movies and other movies, or sorry, out of video games and other movies, you know, them glorifying this.
Nothing can prepare you for the horrors of war, but Saving Private Ryan might be the closest you can get without enlisting. As a matter of fact, the film's opening D-Day sequence proved so believable that some veterans experienced PTSD while watching.
I remember hearing that like there were veterans that came out of it saying that's it. Like I've seen movies before, but that is what D-Day was like.
Everything about the film's depiction of the Omaha beach landings rings true, from the seasickness many soldiers felt upon arriving to the relentless mayhem that ensued. Rather than storyboarding the sequence,
we got Vin Diesel was in that,
young
Vin.
To naturally play out with 1,500 extras and actual amputees participating in the shoot. While that first 20
I remember seeing, you know, in that scene where, you know, in the foxhole you see some dude with his arm or leg gone. And I was like, that always looks so good. Or that, I mean, it looked so realistic. Like they made it look so good. And then hearing that they actually used amputees makes sense.
7 minutes is what most people discuss. The entirety of Saving Private Ryan is a lovingly crafted salute to the men who gave their lives during World War II.
That's quite a view.
Yes, it is.
This video was made in partnership with Newbie, who are just as obsessed with movies as we are. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.
Okay. Let's talk about it. All right, so a pretty comprehensive list there of most of those being, again, some of the most famous war movies ever. There were a couple, especially the non-American films out there that I'll need to check out that would be interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of famous movies. A lot of those you had heard about, and again, it seemed like the ones that were a lot of the ones that were accurate, that they say were accurate, were ones that dealt with the psychological torment. Because again, that's, like I said throughout the video, that's one of the things that often gets skipped in movies, is that, and I'm not just talking like PTSD, like post-traumatic, I'm talking about in the moment, you know, the type of psychological issues that these soldiers, you know, would have had under these, again, pressure moments. So, but yeah, I mean, it's good. In fact, I want to watch some more of these. Again, a lot of them, again, I hadn't seen in a long time and want to get to those. And then again, there were some that, you know, I want to see. But I would like to go and now see like Flags of Our Fathers and Letters of Iwo Jima, kind of try to watch those back to back, because again, it's been passed over too much that they're part of like a bigger set, you know, and meant to be kind of comparative. So I think doing that would be a cool thing to do as well. But then watch some of those other ones from the 70s and 80s, Apocalypse Now, Full Metal Jacket, some of those, and see how they hold up too. Because definitely for the time, you know, they were again so realistic. But again, looking at those again now here decades later to see how those hold up. So I'd like to know though, what do you think about movies? What are some of your favorite war movies? And why? Why do you like those? I want to plug just once again that we do movie watch parties in our community too. That is done through Twitch. So there's a link down in my description down there to my Twitch channel. And if you follow there, yeah, you'll be able to hear about that. I usually send a little announcement for the watch parties on the YouTube like text posts, and also on Discord. So make sure, I think Discord might be one of the better ways. Make sure you join that too. But yeah, if you'd like to join that, join us up on Twitch. All right, and with that, we'll go ahead and head out. The original video link, again, is down below, and we'll see you next time. Bye.